Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an instructive game to share with you from the 2024 Chess Olympiad. This is a round 4 game. On the white end, Serbian Grandmaster Aleksandar Indjic, playing against India's Arjun Erigaisi. Okay, in this one, white goes for a kingside fianchetto, and black's reply, very beginner-like, puts the knight on c6. Now, why do I say this? Well, in these d-pawn-based openings, normally you don't want to obstruct your c-pawn. It likes to frequently have the option to move, supporting your own center or striking an enemy center. Neither option is now available to black. At the same time, this early knight deployment now supports e5. So if white is not attentive to this and routinely fianchettos, black can play e5 and enjoy an ideal pawn center. White is attentive to this, plays d4, bishop f5, bishop g2, and now another beginner-like idea. I know I've experienced this quite a bit just starting out, and that is this quick pressure on c2 with the minor pieces, knight-bishop combo. c2, c7, f2, f7 frequently come under these quick strikes with the minors. What is white to do about this pressure on c2? In the game, it's knight a3, the only way to defend c2 directly. One of the things I found interesting is that if white ignores the threat on c2 here for some reason and castles, the better way to capture on c2 would be with the bishop. If you take with the knight, it seems appealing, right? You're going to get the rook. White would have knight h4 here, and there's no way to keep the knight defended. The bishop is being attacked here. If you go in for this capture, the bishop falls, and soon the knight will fall. And we'll soon be looking at a two minor pieces versus a rook imbalance. White is for choice here. My point is that in the event of castles like this, black should feel full simply winning a pawn with bishop captures. There's no worry of the knight being trapped in this variation, also no worry of this deflection idea. Black can always insert the capture on b1. Okay, in this game, it is the simple defense of c2. Some more development. The knight is now kicked back. Was it worth it for black to go in for this quick strike on c2 if just a few moves later, the knight simply ends up being kicked back to c6? Yes. This knight here is not thrilled about being on the edge. Not its dream square. This is the real problem piece for white in this game, the queen knight. Some pressure now on b7, defended with a piece, no pawn move, no unnecessary weakness created. White goes hunting for the light square bishop. It does not go down without a fight. Doesn't fall back right away to g6. Bishop e4 first. White does not want to allow that exchange. Plays f3. Black says, I've provoked a weakness. I've weakened a diagonal. Once the king is castled, an accident can easily occur on this diagonal. Okay, bishop g6 only now. Knight for bishop exchange. White plays in the center with e4. In a way, white can maybe view this, provoking move f3. White can maybe say f3 is useful. f3 now supports white center. Both bishop pawns here supporting white center. Remains to be seen if this is a positive or a negative. Let's get some more development in. Knight is pinned, unpinned, and from here, bishop captures knight is played. Some other moves the computer's looking at around here. It says improve the knight, castle kingside. You're not going to see a huge shift in the evaluation with these moves. But I believe this is the beginning, this decision here is the beginning of white going wrong in this game, even though it's not showing up on the radar. Why do I think this? Well, we're soon going to observe black having a superior structure. This game is really a positional masterclass by Arjun. He ends up stacking one positional positive on another. It really becomes overwhelming for white. White finds himself in a situation where it's like, what am I supposed to do to even improve my position? A whole lot of shuffling occurs for white, and the positional positives in the end add up to a tactical finish. Now, there's one other move I want to draw just a little attention to, and that is e5. If white plays e5 here, this is a move I'll frequently draw attention to, this alpha 0 pawn. If white plays in this way and then follows up with this capture on e7, do know the better way to recapture here for black would be not with the queen developing a new piece, but rather this underdeveloping recapture. Given the fixed center in this case, black wants to get going now with c5. Okay, in this game it is the bishop for knight exchange. Arjun spent about 7 minutes on his decision here, ends up taking with the pawn. This is the better way to recapture. Now, one of the things that must be weighed carefully here by black is potential pressure on d5. Again, with this knight on c6, if there's some quick pressure here, there's no convenient c6 to defend. So if black in this position takes with the bishop and white goes in for this quick attack on d5, no problem. This square is opened up for the knight, and this point is secure. But Arjun in this game takes with the pawn, so there is no quick knight e7. I should also mention, by taking with this pawn on f6, there is now a perfect pocket for the black king. This will soon be a perfect home for black. Okay, white continues with the capture on d5, and now maneuvers the knight. Goes to c2 here. At this stage, computer says best is to go in with f4. This quick pressure against d5. In this case, black's way out of this pressure is to capture the knight. In the event of pawn captures bishop, maintaining these two pieces here, black would have knight to e7. This remains secure. Okay, and if queen captures bishop here, computer's looking at this variation going straight into an ending, knight versus bishop. Calls it around even. If I was to pick a side, though, I'd be leaning more towards black. Getting in c6, f5, putting the knight on d6, really the dream square for the knight. Focusing on e4. Okay, how does white play it in this one? After this recapture, it's capture on d5. The knight repositions now, goes to c2. Follow up now, knight to a5. So he's still worried about this pressure on d5 here. If you simply, at this point, let's say castle after f4, how are you defending this? Or even after knight to e3, how would you be defending this? Okay, he takes that into account right now. Maneuvers the knight, gives the queen a kick, the c pawn is ready to go. There's a check, c6, queen e2, it's secure. No worries about d5 at this stage. There is a little worry about this knight maybe being cut off from the action. Timely move. The knight is back in the ballgame. Just happens to be throwing a punch at that b2 pawn. Kicks back. Black is fine though, because the knight now falls on the dream square d6, tucked right behind the pawn. It's a perfect piece. This is really one of the pieces, if we do a piece-by-piece comparison, the knights, that's where there's a big difference here. White knight not having a fun time on the c2 square. Okay, from here it's castles. Black does not castle here. It's king to f8. If black castles, that would be a demotion. Rook going from a half open file to a closed file. So in this one, it's king f8. He's out of the pin. g7 is really the goal. From here, maneuvering the knight, black continues with queen a5, targeting c3. There's a reason here black does not quickly play f5. This has some value, to be sure, because a new square opens up for the bishop. That would be a great post for the dark square bishop. Why is he maybe not so quick to play f5? Well, that'll be revealed shortly. First, queen a5. c3 is defended. Aha, the knight makes use of f5. Remember that earlier f3 advance that black provoked? That created a hole on e3. Well, guess what? The knight now eyes up that weak square. And if white is not careful, that can be taken advantage of. White continues here with b4, gives the queen a kick back. I wondered about this b4 move because it does create a hole on c4. It would seem that, you put the knight on e1, why wouldn't you just go ahead and improve it right away to d3? Well, here's the reason why. Black could continue here with bishop a3. Have to stay defending c3, right? Hang on. There would follow rook e8. And after the queen moves, there you go. That weakness on e3 taken full advantage of. A fork on board. Okay, in this game, we have no knight d3, but b4. Fine. The queen is kicked back. This is now a hook for Team Black. a5 nearby. f4 played. a5 on board. a3. And queen off of the open file. Now the knight falls back to its perfect square. Now that this is a hole, the knight is out of the way. He's ready to now go for this idea of f5. The knight can drop in at any point. The knight also eyes up this beautiful square. All forward moves are really looking amazing for this knight. Again, this is really a big difference in this game right here, the quality of the knights. Okay, follow up now is knight to c2. Note the timing of certain moves. I love these positional details right here. When is a good time to play f5? Well, how about when you know this knight can't quickly make use of this square? After the knight moves, this is where we have f5. If you really want to get here, if the knight really wants to get here, you're going to have to rewind, spend a bit more time getting there. Superior position for Team Black. A lot of shuffling from here for Team White. Improving the king. Arjun wants to play with both rooks. He doesn't care if white forms a battery on this file. There's nothing happening there. He has all the squares covered. This right here, this arrangement is perfect. There is no getting at that black king with this arrangement. Okay, from here, more shuffling for white. The A file opens up. Look at all the positional positives here for black. It is just perfect. All right, more shuffling. The computer suggestion here, it's saying queen to e1, and if black goes for a battery over here, it's looking at this idea of maybe playing h5 to rattle the black king position. This is not how white plays it. It's just a whole lot of shuffling, unfortunately, for Team White. That's just the structure he finds himself in. There's not a great way to improve his position. Okay. Doubled rooks. contested file here on the A file. And this one is going to wrap up shortly here. Triple trouble on the A file. We get a pair of rooks off. Rook B2 improves the knight. There's an accident ready to happen here on D4. 3 attackers, 2 defenders. From here, Rook B3. If you exchange rooks, that's not going to end well. Inviting the queen into your house like this. How would white even defend C3 now? Queen D2. You could play Queen B2. That's a way to track down the pawn, or could even take advantage of a now pinned knight. And now this knight that continues to struggle in this game. Okay, white does not invite the queen into his house. No rook exchange. It's Rook B3, babysitting C3, and pop quiz here. How would you continue? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, tactical finish, all positional talk up until this point, and these positional positives now add up to this tactical finish. A position before submission approach to this game. Here's the tactical finish. Knight takes C3, rook takes knight, and now bishop takes D4. What do you do now? In the game, knight takes bishop is played. If white goes in a different direction, let's say blocking on E3 with the rook, there is this flashy move, Rook A1. You take with the knight. Well, there goes the rook, down with check, and soon the queen is lost. All right, how does white play it here? He ends up capturing the bishop, but after rook to A1, white resigns. The queen is going to be lost, and also another piece. There's no way around it. If you take the rook from here, queen takes queen, rook falls next, and what else is white supposed to try here? One of the moves the computer's pointing out is to get off of this weakened diagonal. Well, you could track down the queen, and then the knight. Completely over for white here. There's no way to coordinate here and save this one. This pawn will fall. We'll soon be looking at 3 connected pass pawns for Team Black. All right, in this one, after rook to A1, white simply resigns. So, what did you think of this one? Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.